If you travel across the border from India into Nepal, you notice something highly practical right away. You don't need to check your phone for the latest currency exchange rate. This animated timeline chart shows the exchange rate between the Indian rupee and the Nepali rupee over time. As you can see, it is a perfectly flat, unbroken line sitting exactly at a ratio of 1 to 1.6. It has not moved a fraction of a cent since 1993. Whether you made that border crossing 20 years ago, in 2018, or this morning, your money converts identically. Now, compare that to this chart tracking major global currencies like the US dollar and the euro. In a typical floating exchange rate, values rise and fall constantly, reacting to global supply and demand every single second. Nepal operates on the exact opposite model. It uses a strict monetary strategy known as a hard peg. The nation's central bank commits to locking its domestic currency to a foreign anchor at a rigid, unmoving ratio. But that total stillness is completely artificial. Maintaining a flat line on a chart requires a frantic daily battle against the weight of the global market. To understand why a nation would commit to this fight, we have to look at the physical reality of the region. India is Nepal's largest trading partner by an enormous margin. Nepal imports a massive portion of its daily necessities directly across that border. We are talking about critical supplies: fuel, commercial vehicles, heavy machinery, and vital medicines. If the Nepalese rupee floated freely, a sudden dip in its value would mean those imports instantly cost more. A business owner in Kathmandu ordering stock from Delhi could see their profit margins vanish overnight. By locking the exchange rate, Nepal effectively imports the monetary stability of a much larger, highly diverse economy. An importer knows exactly what their costs will be next month, down to the rupee. This policy prevents the violent hyperinflation that often damages developing economies, keeping essential goods affordable and everyday cross-border commerce functioning smoothly. Delivering that stability falls entirely on the Nepal roster bank. They cannot simply pass a law declaring the rate and hope the market complies. Think of the exchange rate as this conceptual balance scale, holding Indian rupees on one side and Nepalese rupees on the other. Currently, it sits in perfect equilibrium. But as Nepalese businesses constantly buy goods from India, they create massive demand for Indian currency, while dumping excess Nepalese rupees back into the market. The natural flow of trade heavily weights one side of the scale. Left unchecked, this excess supply would cause the value of the Nepalese rupee to plummet. The rigid 1 to 1.6 ratio would break. To stop this, the central bank steps into the open market. They rapidly buy up the excess Nepalese rupees to level out the scale. They fund these continuous purchases by handing out Indian rupees straight from their foreign exchange reserves. That perfectly flat, unmoving line on the graph is actually the result of a grueling, highly expensive operation running every single day. Keeping that machinery running requires the nation to pay a heavy, invisible cost. When a government permanently ties its currency to another, it gives up control over its own domestic economic policy. Nepal's interest rates and monetary decisions are forced to mirror the choices made by the Reserve Bank of India. If India raises rates to combat inflation, Nepal must follow suit. Because the two currencies are tied together, any shift in the Indian economic environment sends unavoidable ripple effects directly across the border. A hard peg demands that a sovereign nation surrender a significant piece of its financial independence in exchange for absolute market certainty. A moment of wonder. The next time you look at that rigid exchange rate, you are looking at a sophisticated, decades-long economic shield, keeping an entire nation's commerce steady and predictable.